The Wildcats head to Louisiana for a second time to face the Lions. I'm Lauren Franco.
And I'm Max Preston. We'll preview the game against Southeastern Louisiana and recap last week's homecoming win against Nichols. It's the Adam Dorrel Show right now. Welcome to the Adam Dorrel Show from the JMC Network Studios on the campus of Abilene Christian University. I'm Max Preston alongside fellow senior journalism major Lauren Franco and the head coach at ACU, Adam Dorrel. Tonight, the Wildcats will be playing its first game since the huge upset victory against Nichols during homecoming weekend and go on the road to face Southeastern Louisiana for its second trip to the state in 3 weeks. So, Coach, you get the big victory over Nichols last week. They're the 11th ranked team in the nation, and after the loss, they moved down to 20th in the rankings. It's the first top 20 victory over a team for ACU since they've went Division I. Your team has to be feeling pretty hype and confident to get a win over the Lions this week.
Yeah,
right?
we were really excited about the win. I was very happy for everybody in our organization. Really happy for the seniors. They had never won homecoming. To beat a top 20 team for the first time in school history since going D1. I just think there's a lot of things we can gain from it. Confidence, not just student athletes, but alumni boosters, everybody that's put a lot of work into this. We were super happy for our fans and the students on homecoming to have a great atmosphere and a great win. So overall, awesome day.
Absolutely.
So, Coach, you get a break from ranked opponents this week as you take on Southeastern Louisiana. They're not a top 25 team, but what challenges are you expected to face?
Well, I think the thing that if you look at these guys, they'll show you right away they're very, very athletic and a lot of tall, rangy kids. It was the first time last year when we played them that I really looked and saw that Southland size and speed. And so the biggest change for them right now is they've had a coaching turnover, and they have just philosophically changed everything they're doing. For example, last year they ran the option. This year they're running a lot of spread type air raid throws. Starting quarterback from last year is now the starting tight end. He'll come back and play a little quarterback. They'll run a little option. But defensive coordinator who spent a lot of time in the NFL, whereas last year they were a very base, bend but don't break defense, and now they're bringing pressure from everywhere, and they're lining up in an odd front, even front, and so it's going to be a big challenge, but, overall their athleticism is just what's very apparent when you watch film.
Well, we will preview ACU's road matchup with the Lions a bit later in the show, but when we come back, highlights and Coach Dorrel's analysis of the game against Nichols. Stay right here. It's the Adam Dorrel Show. Welcome back to the Adam Dorrel Show. Last week, ACU and number 11 Nichols State faced off in Wildcat Stadium for homecoming. With a look at the highlights, here's Rachel Poe.
The Wildcats worked hard offensively and defensively to defeat number 11 Nichols 28-12. It all started when Davis ran 19 yards for the first down. 2 plays later, quarterback Luke Anthony ran a 1-yard touchdown. Hernandez put the Wildcats up 7-0 on their opening drive of the game. Fonseca kicked a 35-yard field goal for Nichols with 7 minutes and 35 seconds left in the quarter, making the new score 7-3. He then connected a 25-yard field goal with 3 minutes and 1 second left in the first quarter. Anthony found wide-open Sadler on a pass route, and he ran a 65-yard pass-and-catch touchdown with 11 minutes and 18 seconds left. Hernandez's kick was good, leaving the Wildcats up 14-6. With only 5 minutes and 44 seconds left in the first half, Mccreary raced 42 yards for a touchdown, making it his 7th of the season. Hernandez's kick was good, giving ACU a 21-6 lead. With only 1 minute and 10 seconds left in the half, Nichols scores a 21-yard touchdown, going into halftime 21-12. Anthony fumbled the ball, Nichols recovered and went 3 plays and missed a field goal in the third quarter. The third quarter remained scoreless. The final score of the night came when Anthony completed an 8-yard pass to Josh Fink. 4 plays later, Anthony threw a 16-yard touchdown pass to Fink. Hernandez's kick was good yet again. The Wildcats defeated Nichols 28-12.
Thanks, Rachel. 28-12, the final score in favor of the Wildcats, who found their second conference victory with the win. So, Coach, let's dive right into the game. You get the ball to start out. You go 68 yards, 10 plays, 4 minutes. It's capped off with a 1-yard sneak touchdown by Luke Anthony. What did you like seeing from your team on that first drive of the game?
Honestly, kickoff return. I thought the kickoff return really set the tempo the whole day for how we were going to play football. I thought we played well in all 3 phases, but I think we got the ball to the 37-yard line, had a short field, and a very balanced run pass moving down the field. I thought our guys executed at a really high level, broke a couple tackles, and I thought it was indicative of how the day was going to go. And it was just really energized our sideline when we got that first score.
So, Coach, by starting the game with a touchdown and an extra point, you allowed your team to keep the lead even after your defense gave up 2 field goals to Nichols before the end of the first quarter. In this situation, would you consider it a moral victory for your defense to keep the lead even after 2 field goals?
Absolutely. You know, I think if you look at our red zone defense, there was a lot of really good things that came out of Saturday. So it's been fun to talk to different folks throughout the last couple of days about the game and kind of relive it. But for me, the one stat that really stands out, it's just our red zone defense. I thought they played lights out down there. You know, between that, and I think they went for it 3 times on 4th down, twice really unexpected in a part of a field you would think they would punt. But the defense gave up some chunk plays, but they really got anchored in down there. They defended the deep fade with those tall receivers for Nichols. So the way they played in the red zone, I thought was just huge. And we just kept feeding off each other as a football team.
So the second quarter begins. Nichols punts the ball after a failed drive to start. You get the ball back. You start with a 2-yard loss on a rush. Then the next play, arguably the play of the game, Kailyn Sadler gets a 65-yard touchdown pass from Luke Anthony, makes the game 14-6. Is this a play to Kailyn all the way, and what's going through your mind after that play?
Yeah, well, if you go back and you look the last couple of weeks, we'd been struggling to protect and try to throw the ball down the field. I mean, at McNeese, when somebody plays man coverage like they do, you've got to try to get some deep routes. And unfortunately, just from a protection standpoint, hadn't been great. And so we max pro'd on that particular play. No, it's a play we call Smokey, and there's 3 guys on the primary read, and it's just a high-low read for the quarterback. And he went through his progression. Kailyn ran a great route. If you look, he turned the defensive back around, and protection was good. The pocket was clean, and Luke stepped up and threw a beautiful ball. So, again, that was one of those plays you practice all week, and to see it come to fruition, man, it's really cool.
So, Coach, your defense gets a stop after 5 plays, and the next drive is a 42-yard touchdown from Billy Mccreary. It's not halftime yet, but you had to be feeling pretty comfortable with the 21-6 lead.
Well, I was really comfortable in the way our guys were playing. They just had a real look in their eye. They were very determined. I think we were really locked in. You know, as a coach, I always listen for what I hear, and just the good self-talk, teammate talk to each other. It was confidence, not cockiness. You know, it was confident of, you know, we're doing this, and this right, but, you know, we got to fix this, and this. And so, again, on that particular toss play, it was out of unbalance. It's something they'd never seen from us before. And to me, there was a lot of really good things on that. But Lim Flowers on his initial lead block, and then Cody Ennis setting what we call setting the edge and pinning the linebacker. Josh Fink came in and cracked the linebacker. And so it was an awesome play. And, you know, if you didn't know this, Billy's pretty fast. So.
Yes, he is, definitely. So Nichols ends up getting a touchdown before halftime, but Jamar Mack blocks the extra point. That makes it 21-12. It's a 9-point game, 2-possession game. Were you ever happier in your career to see a blocked extra point than in that moment?
No, that's huge because, I mean, obviously you run the math on that thing, and at some point in time they're going to have to chase those points. And so, again, I was so ecstatic for our field goal block team. They've been close. Saturday was kind of indicative of the whole year. We've been so close in so many phases. Finally block that thing. And then later on the missed field goal where they grabbed him and pulled him down, even if they made that, it was going to come off the board for holding, and they were going to have to back him up 10 yards and put him out of field goal range. Mm-hmm. So I look at it really like he affected two block kicks. So anytime you can block a kick in college football, man, it's huge. It changes the complexity of the game.
Yes.
So one of the most underrated sequences of the game came in the third quarter. Like last week, Luke Anthony with his fumble and then Adonis with his interception. This week, Luke got a fumble again, and the defense was able to help him out with 4 plays and a missed field goal. Yeah. So how would you say that helped fire up your team?
Huge. We talk about momentum changers in football, and And for our defense to come out on this, we call it sudden change, and try to practice those things as much as you can. And practice, they're just not the same. In a stressful situation, homecoming, the lead could potentially evaporate to one score. And to see those guys go out there, and I mean, they played lights out 3 plays in a row, and it was really good. I was very proud of them. It was one of those deals where we really felt like we had to win the turnover battle. We ended up being -1 in the turnover battle. We never got a turnover, but we only turned it over one time, and so that's something we've been really trying to focus on getting better at. So it was awesome.
So in the fourth quarter, you get to a situation where it's 4th and 7. You decide to go for it, but I'm on the sideline watching, thinking I think they'd be better with or fine with a field goal or a punt the way your defense is playing. But you prove me wrong and go for it on 4th down. Josh Fink gets a reception, and then later in the drive he gets the touchdown eventually. Just walk us through that decision to go for it on 4th down, though.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. I don't know if I'm right or wrong. I've always tried to get young coaches or people that I work with, and to me, you have to trust your instincts in coaching. And at some point in time, going into that drive, I just kind of had it in my mind that we needed a touchdown, not a field goal. And I think the flip side of that is you got to be a little careful that you preach to your players all week, play to win, we have nothing to lose, and then to go out and try a long field goal potentially, there can be some negative effects to that. So after Fink caught that pass, I knew right then, man, we were going to be in 4-down territory. That particular play, we'd been saving the whole game. We hadn't run yet. We'd been running the ball out of it. Tracy hadn't gotten any big runs, but 3 times we ran it, and he got 3, 4 yards, 2 yards, but it really sucked him up on the play action, and we were able to get home on that. So it was just really great to see guys execute the game plan and just really believe in themselves.
Yeah. So after your last touchdown, your defense was able to stop Nichols on 4th down 2 different times. Your defense only had 12 points. Nichols to get 12 points. And Jeremiah Chambers got 15 tackles and was named Southland Conference Defensive Player of the Week. So talk about a little bit about your defense and how they played.
Well, I just think they played lights out. I think it's, again, it's no secret since I took over, I really wanted to build our football program around defense first and then start working back from there. And just very proud of Coach Jackson and our defensive staff. I feel like they've really stepped up the last 2 weeks. I really feel like our defensive line has stepped up. It hadn't been a secret. I don't think any of us had been super happy with the pass rush last couple weeks. And then, last week I think we had 5 sacks or 6 sacks. And then this week to have almost the same, type of output from our D-line. Very proud of those young men and their passion. And they've just kind of finally just said, I'm just not going to try to be perfect. I'm just going to cut it loose and play with the energy, and I certainly think, they did that. So proud of Juice, and what he stands for. Big night for him, and I was so happy for our football team. When you get a game like that and you get done, what's so rewarding about it is we earned that win. They didn't give us that win. They didn't turn the ball over 5 times. They didn't give up fluke touchdowns. It wasn't anything like that. And so to look a group of guys in the eye, coaches that just earned a victory over a top 15 program, it's very rewarding.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, congrats on the big win. We will preview tonight's matchup a little later in the show, but for now, take a look at some of the scores around the Southland Conference. Don't go anywhere. It's the Adam Dorrel Show.
Welcome back to the Adam Dorrel Show with a look at what's happening around the rest of the ASU sports world. Here's Max.
Thanks, Lauren. We start on the court with volleyball as the Wildcats were on fire this last week. The team is now on a 4-game win streak after defeating New Orleans last Thursday, Nichols Saturday, and Texas A&M Corpus Christi Tuesday. Over the 3 matches, Kendall Bossy passed for 133 assists, and Kailyn Mueller scored 39 kills. ACU is now tied with Sam Houston for 2nd in the Southland Conference, both with 7-1 records. SFA is in 1st with an 8-0 record. The team was scheduled to stay in Abilene and face Northwestern State Thursday and Southeastern Louisiana Saturday. The golf team participated in the Jim Rivers Intercollegiate this week and finished 5th out of 15 schools. Francisco Ocio had the highest finish individually at 7th place out of 85 players. ACU will next play in the Little Rock First Tee Classic Monday. We go to the soccer field at Elmer Gray now, where the soccer team hosted McNeese last Friday and Lamar Sunday. ACU and the Cowboys were tied at 0 all the way up until the closing minutes of double overtime when Havana Johnson scored a top left corner shot on Rachel Johnson to win the game. The Wildcats turned their performance around on Sunday, however, as they beat Lamar 3-0. 3 different players scored goals, including Brooke Lenz, Michelle Maroney, and Katie Acosta. ACU is now 9-5-1 on the season and 4-3-1 in conference. They were scheduled to face Sam Houston Friday evening. Luke Anthony had 2 touchdown passes this week to Josh Fink and Kailyn Sadler. Lauren Franco had the chance to sit down and talk with him earlier this week.
So, Luke, the first drive against Nichols was finished off by a 1-yard sneak to a touchdown. How motivated and fired up was your team after scoring immediately to start?
It was a pretty good feeling. We usually, this season, we've started on defense for the most part. So for us to go down on a 10-play drive and punch it in at the end and actually convert on a touchdown was a big momentum boost for all our guys.
Awesome. So your next touchdown was a 65-yard pass to Kailyn Sadler. What's going through your mind as that play unfolds?
I looked at it before the snap. I just looked at the leverage of the defense, and I knew it was going to be there. It had been there all week in practice, so I just tried to look off the safety for a second. And then I knew if Kailyn ran a good route, it'd be there, and if the O-line protected, and they did a great job. And I credit the O-line for that touchdown. I had all day to throw, and Kailyn ran a great route, and sure enough, it scored.
And so tell me a little bit about how the defense performed and how they motivated y'all on offense.
The defense all season's been playing great. They've let some teams drive on them, and they always find a way to shut them down when they really need to. Last game was a prime example of that. Nichols would start having these momentum-building drives, and then our defense would lock in when they needed to. So it's a big confidence boost for our offense, knowing that our defense is always going to hold us up when we screw up. So it's pretty positive.
And so in the fourth quarter, Fink stepped up and made a 4th down conversion catch as well as a touchdown soon after. With DJ Fuller out, how important has it been for you to have receivers step up and produce?
It's been awesome. We've had a bunch of young guys like Kobe Clark, Javorian Miller, who've had the chance to get in some games and help us out. And then obviously I've had chemistry with Fink since I've been here, with him being my roommate, and just knowing me and him kind of think alike on the route concepts and what we're trying to accomplish on every play. So they've done a great job, because it's just we don't have the one guy who can just kill a defense like DJ does, but I think all of our guys have stepped up and have played really well and have helped our offense.
Awesome. Finally, how bad does your team want to avenge the loss to Southeastern Louisiana from last year during homecoming, and how would you say your preparation has gone this week?
I think we try to treat every team the same, but obviously last year it was a pretty disappointing outcome for us to get stomped like that at home on homecoming. So it's a new staff and a new team, but I think we all have a little intrinsic motivation just knowing what they did to us last year. And especially after this big one we just had, I think we're going to try to carry the momentum in and give them a run for their money.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for interviewing. Good luck next week.
As we welcome you back to the Adam Dorrel Show, take a look at the conference standings. McNeese remains in the top spot at 4-0 after a bye week. Central Arkansas, Sam Houston, and Incarnate Word are all tied for second with a 3-1 record. We now take a look at today's schedule around the Southland Conference. Notice McNeese takes on Incarnate Word in San Antonio. The Cardinals will have a chance to give the Cowboys their first loss in Southland play. We now focus on tonight's game between ACU and Southeastern Louisiana. Coach, you've already been to Louisiana once, and you do it again this week against Southeastern. The first time, was it rough going to McNeese, or did it go rather smoothly?
It went really smooth. It's one of the things I said, since you go through a season one time and you're like, this isn't going to work, busing 14 hours and trying to be competitive. It doesn't. It's that simple. And so the fact that, we flew into Lake Charles, I think gave us a competitive advantage not to have to drive in there. I thought we were fresh. I thought we were ready to play. Going to be the same thing this week when we fly down to, we're actually flying into Hammond, I believe, and going to be there. And instead of driving 15 hours, it's an hour and 20-minute flight. It's our booster flight this week. We're taking Booster and some alum with us, and so our kids are excited. And we're really looking forward to the trip. I mean, when you come off a win like that, one of the hard things can be the week leading into. It's just like, come on, man, let's get back on the field. So we're excited to do that.
Yeah. So last year, Southeastern led the league in rushing, and this year they lead the conference in passing yards. Are they the same team offensively that they were last year?
No, I mean, and that's what's crazy about it, to see such a philosophical change in one calendar year. I mean, totally different. They were a spread option football team to they're an air raid team right now. They'll sprinkle in a little option when they move that kid back to quarterback, but it's they've got a new head coach, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, and it really shows when you watch the film. So we'll be ready, obviously, and I wouldn't want to have played them early in the year when you didn't know what they were going to do. So, but it is a lot different seeing those guys be that radical.
So more specifically on offense, they have Chasen Virgil as their quarterback. He's accounted for over 2,000 of the passing yards, and he has 5 different receivers who have caught passes for or had 200 total yards or more this season. So how do your defensive backs prepare for such a widespread offense?
Yeah, I think you got to have really good eye discipline against him. He does a good job of looking off and coming back to his second and third receivers. I mean, just be real candid when you're playing a team like they're going to play. It's going to be their 5 guys against our 4 defensive linemen a lot. We have to get good pass rush. What I've noticed when you watch him, if you can get him uncomfortable, get him off his first couple reads and don't let him set his feet. Like any quarterback, he's not as accurate. He does have the potential to scramble and run on you, so that does create problems for defensive linemen because it's not like they can just try to go rush the quarterback. They have to stay in their what we call pass rush lanes and try to get home from there. Yes. They have to be disciplined when they're pass rush. Don't particularly like to blitz to have to get pressure because they have the type of kids, if you're playing a lot of man coverage with their pick route stuffs, if they get open, they're home. So we've got a big challenge in front of us with our defense.
Absolutely. Well, we look forward to what should be an exciting game between ACU and Southeastern Louisiana. Kickoff will be at 7 p.m. and the pregame show begins on ACU Radio Network at 6:30 p.m. For Coach Dorrel and for Lauren, I'm Max Preston. Enjoy the game, and we'll see you next week.